Indiana Jones, Indiana It's a podcast about Indiana Jones. Every movie, 1 minute at a time. Indiana Jones Minute.
Welcome back to the Indiana Jones Minute. This is the podcast where we sink deep into the film Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. See what I did there? 1 minute at a time. I'm Tom Taylor.
I'm calm. I'm sinking, but I'm calm. And I'm Pete.
God, that is so bad. That's too true. That's too close to home. That's too
It is
apt.
too close to home.
Wow. Are we actually talking about the minute?
I'm Gerald Christopher pulling against a vacuum porter.
And I'm Tierney, did not prepare a quicksand-based pun steal.
Fair enough. You don't need to have one. We're not even sure it is quicksand. It's like dry sand or whatever, right? Or,
We'll
or
get
is
there.
it?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, we'll get there. Okay.
Yeah. First we have to run through the forest.
Right,
Or
because
jungle.
this, of course, is minute 70, and minute 70 is the one that begins with Indy, Marion, Mutt, and Oxley running through the jungle after Mutt has set fire to the Russian camp, and it ends with Indy imploring Oxley to get help.
Kid, what the hell are we doing, kid? He calls him kid twice.
Yeah, that is kind of,
They're leading up to something.
hey, kid, somebody's kid. Whatever kid you are,
Somebody's
what are we
kid.
doing out here?
Marion, Abner's little girl.
That's true.
Yeah. Well, Pete, do you ever speak that way where you kind of bookend your sentences with the exact same word?
Jer,
Have you
I
ever
don't think I
worked
do,
for
Jer.
the Department of Redundancy Department?
Exactly.
No, I don't. It sounds weird.
That does.
It sounds
Well,
sort of pretentious. It sounds like written dialogue.
It does.
You know,
Yeah.
if he said, "What the hell are we doing, kid?" I'd believe that. But
Yeah.
his kid, what the hell are we doing, kid? It actually doesn't sound like Indiana Jones. Like the voice to me doesn't sound like Indiana Jones.
Hmm.
Oh.
There are a couple moments in this minute where
Yeah.
I felt that.
I'm thinking that too,
Mhm.
Pete.
Hi.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's a good setup.
Which
We're
also
lost in the
ties
jungle.
in. I see that. I think that ties in with it doesn't sound like Indiana Jones, and this doesn't look like a jungle. It looks very much like a soundstage.
God, you expect Gilligan to run through with like a
I know,
coconut
it
head.
really like
Yeah.
parts of this movie look gorgeous, but this is not one of those parts. Like it really looks like a TV set.
Yeah, that is really
Yeah.
depressing. I don't like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And it's really true. I mean, we've been saying that for a while. And like, yeah, every outdoor location, I mean, fake Mexico
super
looked like
fake.
real Mexico. That was good. That was outside, but then I don't know.
Uh-huh.
Have they been outside, legitimately outside since then?
Well,
like
this
Connecticut,
might
I
even
guess,
be
yeah, but-
legitimately outside. I don't know,
Yeah.
but it
I
doesn't
don't
look like
know.
it.
I think if you look
Yeah.
at behind the
It's-
scenes stuff, there's
mm.
lots of fake trees and tents
Yeah.
and things, and they're all
Yeah.
sitting
Yeah.
around eating sandwiches.
Yeah.
Listen, I watched 11 seasons of MASH, and
Right,
a fake
yeah.
set that is
Yeah.
no way accurate to the true location does not faze me at all.
Right. It's kind of homey to you. It's kind of familiar and warm. I get it.
This is fine. And when I first started watching this minute, I also thank you guys so much because I got to miss this minute starts with just the very end of the sting from the music of the previous fight.
Oh, yeah,
ruckus,
that's
fracas,
crazy.
whatever
Yeah.
you guys ended up calling
Uh-huh.
it. And that was a lot. And so honestly, I'll take this jungle, whatever it is. But I also realized like this is such movies by minutes. This is such a movie. Like the bad guys are running 5 feet away and
Yeah.
don't see them and they're whispering back and forth. And
Yeah.
it's just like movies just require a certain amount of suspension of disbelief. And this movie rams right through that wall sometimes, but this just felt more stereotypical, like, yeah, I'm watching a movie.
You know
What are you gonna
Yeah.
do? It's a movie.
And
It's fine.
I think part of that is the fact that you've got like seeing it in this must happen in thousands of movies, but seeing it this time in this movie made me think, oh, is this an actual trope that people don't talk about? The sort of like spur of the moment escape plan or something, and then one person is complaining about it like it was a horrible idea, even
Mhm.
though it obviously just kind of worked. Like, oh, it's kind of,
Yeah.
it's a Han Solo yelling at Leia for the trash compactor
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's like
yeah.
it seems like I don't know why Indy's mad right now. I don't know why. Like, it sounds like he's mad right now because this is the part in the movie where you yell at the guy who got you out of a sticky situation, and it's mildly annoying.
Yeah, even though Mutt's making it up as he goes along. Again.
That's why
Hey,
I
that's
think
my
Indy's
movie.
mad. No, I think that's actually why he's mad,
Could
because
be.
Mutt is doing Indy's job, and like Mutt's not only making it up as he's going along, but Indy is just going along. Like,
Yeah.
he just-
Right.
Yeah.
like, and I don't think Indy likes being told what to do or led somewhere.
He's along for the ride right now.
No.
And he was
Yeah.
about
Well,
to crack the secret of the uncharted map area and stuff with his friends, the Russians,
Yeah.
and they got interrupted. He's furious.
Well, I mean, what Mutt says is somebody had to do something.
Mm-hmm.
And so that kind of falls in the middle. I mean, it's a generic line, but then you're kind of like, yeah, but what we're talking about here, you're like, Indiana Jones wasn't going to do anything.
He really wasn't. That's weird. I mean, Mutt's kind of
I
right.
mean-
He's like, dude, you were just
Yeah.
working with the Russians to figure out stuff. You're having a little campfire powwow with a map and stuff. And I did
Well-
something to get us out of the way of the people who were going to kill us.
And what the hell does Indy's line mean? Because Mutt says they were going to kill us, and Indy says, "Well, maybe." And it's like he's
Actually,
just-
I kind of love that. That felt very Indiana Jones to
It
me.
is kind of funny.
It did.
He said, you know, he says, well, something else would have been good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is he just annoyed that they're like, he just doesn't like being in the jungle? Is it hot and itchy? Or is he like, we're lost and that's no fun?
Yeah,
or...
I think it's that they're running through the jungle with no plan on where they're going. Like, they're
Yeah.
literally just running,
Which is kind of legit.
and
Yeah, I-
hopefully they'll think of something as they are going, which,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
again,
Well, I really think it's. I
is
think
what he
Indy
would
would have
have
been
done.
fine with that if he'd been the one that caused him to run. I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
he doesn't like that he was not the mover of this situation.
That's funny.
So is he curmudgeonly here, but is he also impressed? Like, is this him sort of bending? Like he's rounding a corner, and this sort of, his taciturnedness is going to turn into affection. Like, I don't know, in 15 or 20 minutes.
Yeah, right now
Where
he's
he's like,
annoyed
that's
because-
the,
yeah.
Yeah, he's
Is
gonna
this
turn
him-
the
got a
corner.
spark or
Oh.
something. Yeah.
kind
Maybe.
of. Well, what's interesting is this scene and this dialogue is, the character action here, and the choices, like the choices that the characters are making, and what the directors are showing us is that, like, the baton is being passed from father to son.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Indy here isn't doing anything. And Mutt, as you said eloquently, Tierney, is making it up as he goes along. And you're like, right. So we're seeing Mutt behave like Indiana Jones used to, or
And
what
we're
we would
seeing-
expect.
And
We're seeing
Indiana,
Indiana
Jones, is
Jones
acting
behave
like his
dad. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, exactly. We're saying Indiana Jones behave like his father, which,
Yeah.
But he hates it.
and he hates it. Well, and it made me think, like, okay, so compare Indy to his son here. And compare Indy to his dad.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like this is where he's he's turning into his father, which we all are doing, and it sucks.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's why he's so curmudgeonly. Because the minute you realize you laugh like a parent or have said something that a parent said, it's like, I have to go lie down for an
Yeah.
hour.
This is tough. This is a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is we don't see, with Henry Jones Sr., we see Indy as a boy, and Henry Jones Sr. didn't have a transition. He was always bookish and, sort of, got his nose in the book in the library and that sort of thing. He was never with a bullwhip. He had no inclination for violence or fracas seeking, rumpus making.
But see, I think he made the transition the opposite direction. I think he transitioned to rumpus making and fracas seeking, and also like human
Also
connection and
knows.
warmth.
Seagull
like he
scaring.
kinda yeah.
So you think that was, you're right. That was we remembers as Charlemagne.
Yeah.
That was his moment. Wow.
Yeah, but he's still essentially, like, his core being, I don't think really changed. I think he learns how to go on an adventure very well. But I think he is still essentially the same person, whereas going from Last Crusade, where Indy is the son, to Crystal Skull, where he is older, Indy has made a change off screen. And I think that's why a lot of people have a problem with this movie, is that Indiana Jones should no longer be traveling the world, rumpus making and ruckus and all that stuff, but he is. And that you could have a very interesting movie about that.
Yeah.
This guy who's thrown back into this life that he thought he had left behind.
Yeah, that could easily be the situation that we have. Like, he gets kidnapped by the Russians while he's just digging for pottery or something, wherever he was with Mac at the very beginning. So, but they don't really play it that way. It's like, oh, here we go again.
Yeah.
I'm at another thing.
Well, wait, okay.
Spy globetrotting guy.
To be fair, he was, he was, I have to think. He was just at the university, right?
Yeah.
And then he gets fired, and then he's going to go teach at Leipzig.
Right.
Yeah.
So, it's not like he's like, oh, I got to go cause a fracas. Like, as soon as he gets fired, he's like, all right, I'll go read a book somewhere else, I guess.
These adventures do show up on his doorstep. We did say, except for the very beginning of Raiders, you know what? Maybe there's a whole backstory to the very beginning of Raiders where he had no intention going to search the idol. There's like this whole thing about somebody showed up. He's just sitting there in office hours.
Yeah. He was kidnapped by Satipo and Barranca.
I was just going to say, Satipo conned him into it.
Or maybe like he's related to Satipo, and it was the sort of thing where it's like somebody said like, oh, they got Satipo and they're going to kill him.
Yeah.
Oh boy, now they got my nephew. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then,
right. I don't know. There's a lot of Satipos, kid. A lot of Barrancas.
No, hey, you hush.
You're gonna upset.
I'm sorry.
Wait. Then Indy says, "This is intolerable." Which, by the way, isn't that a line that Henry Jones Sr.
exactly
says?
a Henry Jones Sr. line?
Yeah,
I didn't even.
That's an overused one, isn't it? Didn't we complain about him saying it like one too many times in Last Crusade? Yeah.
So that is right here the total like Indy's turning into his dad in this minute.
Wow.
Callback.
Yeah.
There's also in the script. There's a little thing where he's saying because he says, "Harold, for God's sake, keep up."
Yeah.
And in the script, that happens because Harold keeps looking at them carrying the skull the other way and is trying to follow them.
Oh, interesting.
And I think Mutt's trying to actually drag Harold along, like Oxley along.
Oh, wow.
Because I thought that even, he's taken over the role of the dad, making sure everyone stays together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess he kind of is. Yeah.
Well, and then I think Indy says, after this is intolerable, he goes, "There's a girl."
What?
What?
Doesn't he say? He says that, right?
I don't know.
He says, "Harold, for God's sake, keep up."
Wait, in the script, but what does he say in the?
No, he says Harold, keep up. He says Harold, for God's sake.
Wait, he says there's a girl. Hang on.
Oh my God, I'm actually looking. I'm scared.
I mean, I don't know Harold Oxley's entire history.
What is it, Jerry? What'd you find?
He says, "For God's sake, there's a girl." No, he doesn't. He says, "Harold, keep up."
Welcome back, Jerry.
Yeah. I was like, maybe he was just noticing Marion. I don't know. Maybe he's that old. He keeps forgetting.
That's another thing. Thank you for not having me on for the Marion reveal, because talk about a moment that should have been the greatest moment and is so just like, oh God, we've all known this, and it's just so awkward and awful. And I love Marion so much, and I love her here where she's like, "What the? Shut up!"
Yeah, that's interesting.
Her exasperation is amazing.
Even though you weren't here for that minute, you can say more about that because it's worth worth exploring.
Yeah.
We were sort of we were swaying both ways about it.
Right.
On the one hand, it's great. You can't help feeling great seeing her, but Did they really
She
nail her?
swaggers. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
her hips lead her towards him.
Yeah.
As they
True
always
north.
have.
Yeah.
It always comes back to that. Yeah, she's such a good character, and I wish they had handled the Marion thing a little different. I don't know how they would have fixed that, what they would have changed that would have made me happier. I also, like, people critique Karen Allen's performance in this movie quite a bit as a little bit of phoning it in, maybe, and it's not a great start. It gets better.
Yeah, it's as happy as you might be to see her, it's not quite your Marion who you love.
Mm-hmm.
You know, from
Where's
from
this? Where is this? Where she's like, I think I'm gonna get out. You know, like,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna do my own thing.
Mhm.
Oh wait, no, you generally do know what you're talking about, though.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I will stop, but I need you to shut up.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's he like cuts her off. Stop it.
Yeah.
Which is that's like
So-
exactly what I say to my dog when he's licking the cat's anus.
Yeah.
Just,
And he never
it's like
thanks you.
that sort of reprimand. No.
This is for your own good. Stop it.
Yeah, exactly.
Trust me.
Trust me. Very different tone of trust me. Yeah, and don't get me wrong, there are things that people critique later that I'm just like, no, I freaking love that. I
Mhm.
love that Marion went off and had her own life and did her own thing, but is also still glad to see him. Like, this, the Marion Indy relationship here actually does work for me. Because I really like the implication, because we get the best of both worlds. We get to have that Marion and Indy are the ones, the true loves, the soulmates.
Mhm.
Right.
But there's also this life lesson of like, hey, look, you can still have a damn good life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not doing that. Like,
Sure.
just because they weren't together doesn't mean those years were this awful time.
Well,
But they mourned their separation.
But
Like,
they
no, she's
do-
doing her own thing.
they do make a point of saying she's like a damn good life, and it's sort of like, thou dost protest too much. You know, they have one of those things where you're like, she's really shoving it, waving it in his face, like, no, I had a great life without you. I mean, a great life. And he's like, oh yeah, well, yeah. It's one of those.
Yeah, but that's kind of how he flirts. You notice she says it the second time. He's like opened his mouth to say something. She's like, oh no, you don't.
Yeah.
I will just say the same thing again to cut you
Sure.
off.
Yeah.
It's funny. She doesn't even need to flirt. I'm
Well-
already batting my eyes at her.
Yeah.
Yeah, she just shows up, and it's not even flirting. You're like, oh, don't worry about it. Yeah, I'm you're wonderfully attractive and appealing and lovely.
Don't worry
Dude.
about it.
Later, she's gonna do a stunt, and it's so stupid, and it makes no sense. But all right, I'll just spoil it. When she's driving what's now a duck vehicle,
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
when they hit the water, and she's like, that works, and she gives that grade, and my heart grows 3 sizes every time. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't care how stupid that sequence is. She is so proud of herself. And she's like, bleep, yeah, my plan worked. Y'all are alive because of me. I'm driving. She's so pleased with herself, and it's absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
She was an Animal House.
Yeah, she was.
Yeah,
Oh
she
gosh,
was.
she was. Anyway. Although I did just discover, apparently I never saw Starman that she was in, and I
Oh.
really need to fix that.
That's a good movie.
I thought I had seen it, but then the more I read, I was like, oh no, I don't remember this at all. But yeah, is this her greatest role she's ever done? No, but she's back. Marion's back, and that was enough for me.
Yeah.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're pulling against a vacuum. It's like trying to lift a car. Why do I have a
At
really
first
hard time with that? Like just the logic of that line.
Yeah, I didn't understand it. At first I thought maybe it was like a fever dream, like Luke lifting the X-Wing. But then I realized he never talked to Luke before the carbonite. So
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
I don't understand it. I don't understand what it means.
I mean, is he just?
I'm also not a car guy, so
Yeah, I mean, like if you're
Well-
lifting a car, you're not lifting against or pulling it against a vacuum.
Yeah.
So
That's
so
the problem.
maybe
He's
he's just
saying two different things.
maybe he's
Yeah.
saying it's you're pulling against a vacuum. It's like trying to lift a car because a car is so heavy.
I
Don't
think that's
bother.
yeah. I think that's what
Yeah,
he's saying. But
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
but then why say that you're pulling against? I don't know. It's fine. It's
Yeah.
fine. It's fine. I'll
Yeah.
stop.
Well, I
Jerry
mean,
Porter, it's
I
fine.
mean,
It's
The
fine.
editor in you is very annoyed by this, isn't it?
No, all stays in. We'll do it live.
the music is very Marion Cairo Baskets.
Ooh.
Very. It's. I mean, it's got that.
it does have the jaunty, like the
Yeah.
bouncy. Yeah.
Way does. It's which is setting us up. But this is much more of a like we're setting the scene for comedy right now
Yeah.
and hijinks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas like the Cairo, just God,
It was not
it's amazing.
funny.
Yeah,
It
and
was
even though there
fun,
is,
and it was
there's
exciting,
and
and
there's a
It
few
also had some
scenes that are.
slapstick.
it
Yeah,
did.
it definitely
Yeah,
did.
that's
And there's
true.
some crazy scenes, and we even talked about some scenes that are like really violent, but
Mhm.
they wind up being. Remember the one guy? He gets like skewered
gets
with the
skewered.
sword, and it goes through the,
Yeah, it's got all the
melon
fruit on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, it's
Yeah.
I don't know, and it's kind of they go wow. I don't know. It just I don't know. This is they resurrect these themes and these like intolerable and sort of like somebody had to do something and now Mutt is making it up as he goes along, and then now we have the music, but it lands differently, I guess.
Marion's line is also reminding me of something, and I'm blanking on what when she goes, "I'm calm. I'm sinking, but I'm calm."
I was curious about the dry sand pit part because apparently
All right.
they're. Oh, go ahead, Tierney.
No, I just was gonna make sure that y'all also were basically warned by pop culture that quicksand and how to get out of quicksand was going to be very important to know.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, as a
Because it
kid,
could happen
you
to
think
you
that's
at
gonna
any
happen.
moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's apparently some debate whether dry sand pits exist in nature.
Oh.
Like
Hmm.
they've been simulated in the lab, but and there have been legends of like entire caravans disappearing into them, but they've never been proven. But they apparently, when they were first planning the Apollo missions, they were worried about a dry sand pit on the moon.
Oh my God.
and that's
scary.
part of the
Nice.
reason they put those big discs on the bottom of the lander,
Oh wow.
the feet.
Huh.
Wow.
But the thing about dry sand pits is that it's dry sand, which seems like a very unlikely thing to have in the middle of the Amazon jungle to me.
Yeah. But wait, now okay,
Why
is he
it's-
saying that this is he's saying that this is dry sand, right?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
Mutt says, "What is it?
Yes.
Quicksand?" He says, "Well, no, it's actually a dry sand pit."
Yeah. Okay. that is weird.
We're injecting humor here because why couldn't
Yeah.
it just be quicksand?
Yeah,
And
Yeah,
you're
I
like,
know.
we're-
The
we're
only
just-
reason it's not quicksand is so he can do his kind of calm, nerdy explanation in the middle of a tense
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Which,
also,
by the way,
again, is
Well-
hey,
no, I'll stay
Yeah,
out of it
hang
because I don't know what to say about this. So somebody else.
okay,
say something.
so Pete, is there a time in any of these indie movies where Indiana Jones stops and does this?
he does it when he's talking to Willie, kind of about the nocturnal.
Oh,
whatever
but that's
when they're-
totally different though. The nocturnal whatever mating
Yeah.
rituals and stuff. And,
Yeah,
But that's like he's like
Yeah.
that's like a flirty thing. That's not
Yeah,
in the
that's
middle
like a
of
That's
flirty
true.
thing. Yeah,
that's true.
that's not in the middle of
But-
like
Yeah.
a dangerous thing, and he
I
completely
can-
switches personality
any-
and
Like
cadence
Professor
and
voice.
everything. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It feels like a kind of cutesy thing from another movie that
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
exactly hate, but it doesn't sound like Indiana Jones, and it doesn't quite work. And
It's
it's like,
it's
oh, I
almost
see
like
what you're
he-
doing. Okay, knock it off.
Because he
It's-
usually,
back
yeah,
to the
usually
movie.
if he explains something that someone doesn't know, he mansplains it, like he indie explains it.
Yeah, like
Like
I
this,
was.
he's actually. It seems like he's actually like, oh, well, actually, it works. Like he's actually just explaining it
Yeah.
in a helpful manner.
Like I keep thinking, like if he was yelling this, like if somebody
Yeah.
said, like, "Oh, no, it's not quicksand," whatever. Like you just yelled
Yeah,
it
what
at
kind
him.
of moron
That's
thinks
true.
it's
That would
quicksand?
have been
That'd
a
be
better.
funny.
Yeah, that would be good. That would be. I
Yeah.
could see that.
I know, Dad.
Yeah.
I do like, though, the juxtaposition of, and we've seen him be professor. I could see an earlier Indy doing this. You're right. He should have gotten into it a different way.
Mhm.
But it's the juxtaposition of him against Marion. And the fact that you said, oh, he's usually mansplaining. Well, no, but he is using this little lesson to completely take the focus away from Marion, who's also, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
being
Right, but you know
murdered by
what?
the jungle.
Whenever
Yeah,
he,
she's doing it wrong.
whenever, you know what it is? He breaks character.
He does. He
yeah,
does. He goes into a bit.
Yeah, he goes into a bit, and whenever Indiana Jones mansplains or explains or comments on something that he clearly knows about, he actually does it dismissively. He's like,
Yeah.
That's
you know, are you sure that's, it's like, are you
Yeah.
sure that, how do you know that? He's like,
Yeah.
are you sure that's the Ark of the Covenant? It's like, pretty sure.
Obviously,
Yeah.
this
Yeah,
crazy line
and-
is the Amazon. What kind of idiot
Yeah, and
doesn't
then,
know?
or how about, didn't you guys ever go to Sunday school?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
He's
with
dismissive.
Donovan. Yeah.
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 Yeah, so this is not at all like how Indiana
Yeah,
Jones
that's true.
explains stuff. He usually
Mm.
just tosses out one or two lines. He's like, come on, let's go.
Yeah.
Maybe this is Indy after 20 years in the classroom.
Growth.
Yeah. He's
Yeah.
He
mellowed.
just really wants to help the next
yeah.
generation.
Yeah. Wants to spread his knowledge.
Yeah, share his light with the world. You know, speaking of sharing light with the world, or perhaps the opposite, I had a revelation in this minute
Oh.
because Marion says, "Oh, for Pete's sake, Jones, we're not in school," and that phrase has always, for obvious reasons, jumped out at me. But I've never until today looked up where it came from.
Oh, wow.
And
Is-
it actually, do you know, Jer?
I'm going to say, well, I was just saying, congratulations. Marion said your name.
I know.
Yeah.
There you go,
Lucky
Admiral.
you.
Is it, I would guess like St. Peter.
That's what I was gonna
It's
say.
exactly it. It's,
Oh, wow.
in order not to blaspheme and use the Lord's name in vain, instead of saying for Christ's sake or for God's sake, people started saying for Pete's sake.
Wow.
And that's where it came from. But it's funny, that to avoid blaspheming a deity, everybody blasphemes me. But it's also funny that literally 10 seconds before this, Indy says, "For God's sake, Oxley, keep up. Harold, keep up."
Yeah.
And blasphemes. And 10 seconds later, Marion says, "For Pete's sake, Jones, we're not in school."
Well, she's a
Which I
mother.
think is funny.
Her kid's right there.
Well,
She doesn't want to be discussed.
Yeah, I like it's fantastic to take the first pope's name in vain. That's fine.
Yeah.
It's
All
funny.
right.
Like my grandma always used to like when she'd say like, "Oh, fudge."
Yeah.
And it's
Grandma,
like when you say
stop.
that stuff, but it's like she means the same thing. Like,
right. Yeah.
it's the same
She's
thing.
not-
Like,
yeah.
you're just pronouncing it differently, but you're saying the exact same thing.
So
No,
what does it, I
it's-
mean, if you say for Pete's sake and you're talking about St. Peter, like it's still irreverent, or I guess, or
Right.
is it?
Well,
yeah, if you say
okay.
like for St. Gregory the Great's sake, I mean, is that still like you still
But he's
shouldn't
not
be-
God. He's
but
not
it's-
in that your religion. He's
Yeah.
not
He just
a
works in the
God
office.
figure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
also
you're-
was curious to know if any of you guys were also kids who tried to do the argument like, I'm not blaspheming, I am calling his attention
Oh, I would do
to
that
a
all the time.
problem.
I did that all the time. And I knew I was full of it. I was like, it's just fun to say that stuff. I'm sorry.
And watch
I-
your
you know-
face turn purple.
What did you say? It brings up though, if you're like, I had a football coach, going to a Catholic school. He didn't say Jesus Christ, son. He'd say cheese and crackers, son. When he was furious.
Yeah.
And you're like,
Yeah.
okay, so if, as you said, Pete, you want to, you mean the same thing,
Yeah.
or you're
Yeah.
at least malevolent. with
You
your-
need the
with-
release of it.
yeah, it's kind of interesting, I guess.
But
it's-
you can take it both ways. You can either take it that either he means to blaspheme when he says that, but he's
Mhm.
trying to say something else, or that other people don't mean to blaspheme when they say the other. It's just something that they're conditioned to say, as that it sounds
Yeah.
They're-
comforting, as
yeah,
to express it as a.
Well, is
some
there
kind of
is there
epithet.
different like is there a difference in taking the like okay, so you're not supposed to take the Lord's name in vain, and I would say, well, it wasn't in vain. I want him to intervene.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but
that's not
that's the
vain.
BS thing. That's
Smoke
not,
this person.
You're not like stopping what you're doing and centering yourself and praying and saying, "Dear Lord, I'm in a fix." You're saying,
I
"God,
guess if
no."
you say, "For God's sake, Oxley, keep up," I guess you're saying you're
Yeah.
pretending to know what God wants Oxley to do,
Hmm.
which lots of people would do anyway. But
May the patron saints of cheese and crackers implore you to please just keep up.
I will say the best, because I worked at a summer camp, so I had a lot of like substitutes because you need something that's close enough so that you get the feeling of releasing it. And swearing "Cheese Louise" is incredibly satisfying. The next
Cheese
time you're
Louise.
annoyed,
Wow.
you just say "Cheese Louise" to yourself through clenched teeth, and it is the same emotional reaction.
I might try. I think it'd be better if you just scream it. Like
Yeah,
at the
so I
top
don't
of
know
your
who
lungs.
Louise is, but she's
Yeah.
my patron saint. You know, I don't know theologically how to get into this, but Oxley is an interesting character throughout this movie, and I get really frustrated because at the end of this minute, we'll get there. He says, "Go get help," and Oxley's gonna get given a lot of guff for the help he goes and gets, but who the hell was he? What did Indiana Jones think was gonna happen
Right.
here?
That's another, weak setup to a weak joke. Yeah. It doesn't make any sense.
Because the spy code is it's better to be alive and have a chance to get out, even if you're captured by the enemy, than eaten by dry sand pits that may or may not exist.
They just want you to look at maps. They're not going to kill you right away. You got
Well,
time.
so okay, I don't even remember what happens.
I don't either,
But-
actually.
What, I mean,
Spoiler.
no, it's okay. I'm just
Sorry.
saying. So,
Spoiling
but I
it for the
did have a
host.
question. Like we all know, we're watching the same movie here, and I had a question. You know, when Indy tells Ox to go get help, does he mean the Russians? Like, what does he actually?
I was wondering
does he
that, too.
Think like
well,
I assumed
apparently not, because he's gonna look annoyed when Oxley brings the Russians to him.
So does he think like Oxley's gonna go like hike 86 miles?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
you know the border of I don't know, like Bolivia or wherever. You know, I
Yeah.
mean, and just go get help. I mean, because that's really.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen they're in
Yeah.
the jungle. We've seen everybody that they're with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
There
again,
are
you
no
can-
friendlies there.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
He
so
I mean,
that's
like at this moment, you're like, oh, he does mean the Russians. Okay.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
At
they're
this
in
point, I was
effect,
like,
so
he
they're
does
not-
again.
I thought he meant the Russians.
At least
I
they'll
thought
save
he
him.
meant them too.
Yeah, because and he yells, "Help!"
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not making a
But
secret of the fact that whoever's nearby, whatever nationality or creed or whatever, I need to please get me out of this.
It's
quicksand.
better than this dirt.
Yeah.
But does Oxley have free will at all at this point? Like in this movie, like does he have any self?
I don't know.
Like,
Kind of
does he
barely.
exist as self?
Yeah.
I mean, like, actually, I mean, you know, it's the next minute, but I guess he does leave to go get help. That seems like the most,
Yeah.
like, self-propelled, action he's taken since we've met him in the
Except
movie,
that-
really.
Except
for the
that
little dance he
Indy
does.
yelled at him to do it.
Right. But he does it. I mean, like,
Yeah.
Mutt was like saying, hey, Oxley, it's me, and like he didn't, it was just blank. He
Well,
didn't
so
connect with Mutt at all.
his finger is moving, and you put something in front. You get a writing utensil. You put something in his hand, and it spells out. Is
Mhm.
that the skull then? Like, is he channeling the skull?
I get. Can we stop?
is he-
Let's not talk about it.
Yeah,
I'm
let's
so
not talk
sick of
about
Yeah.
it. It's
talking
fine.
I will
about
say,
It's
I'm
fine.
really
Stop.
cheese and
glad-
cracker
I-
skull.
Cheese and crackers. I'm really glad we don't have him trying to go rejoin the Russians because they have the skull or something, because that would have really muddied these waters. Of like,
Yeah.
why does he go to them? Is it just to go to the skull?
And they're
So
plenty
at
muddy.
least this,
Yeah.
yeah. This, although it's a dry sand, so it's actually
That is true.
Yeah.
The
to be
Yeah.
done.
even though we've had a unfunny setup for an unfunny joke for later on, and we have this kind of unfunny, sort of nerd speech that he gives about quicksand and stuff. There is one part of this minute that really makes me laugh really hard. The term void collapse is gross and it makes me laugh. I can't exactly tell you why, But
Yeah.
it makes me laugh each time. Void collapse. I feel like I've experienced a void collapse at some point, but I don't know what it was.
Please, not on the radio.
No.
Yeah, this is another like, and then of course immediately like that's just a movie. That's just the trope. It's
Right.
fine.
Yeah.
This is just Princess Bride transposed onto an indie movie. And
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what?
exactly.
That's what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what happened.
We can't have nice
Because-
things.
Spielberg
Yeah.
needs them to sink. That's it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it has to be
Yeah.
cute. It has to be cute as they
Yeah.
sink.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know
And,
why
you
he's
know,
trying so hard. She's right there. Anyway.
Well,
Speaking of right there.
Speaking
Yeah.
of right there. Speaking of dry sand. Speaking of, stop it! Coming in over the wire.
Oh.
This just in from Professor Christy Porter. Oh, wait a minute. It's a big
Oh.
one. Let me swallow all my spit here so I can.
Oh. Jerry's
So
experiencing
you don't have void collapse?
Yeah.
I don't have a void. Yeah, okay, let's see. Historically, the existence of dry quicksand was doubted, and reports of humans and complete caravans being lost in dry quicksand were considered to be folklore. In 2004, it was created in a laboratory, but is still not clear what its actual presence is in nature. Detlef Loos, who published his findings in the journal Nature, found a tennis ball sank 5 diameters deep when rested on the surface, and also observed a straight jet of sand shooting
Oh.
violently into the air after
Whoa.
about 100 meters. This type of jet had never been seen before. Considering this information, would Jones be more interested in A, being killed by a folkloric landscaping hazard, B, reporting the violent jet for the first time to a bunch of German or Russian physicists,
Oh,
working at the University of the Netherlands,
Oh, okay.
or C, showing Belloc that after being buried in the sand for 10,000 years, he was, in fact, not worth that much.
I like C.
Yeah, I like
yeah,
C.
C's pretty good.
Yeah.
He's amazing.
She's
A's
pretty
a good
good.
time too, though.
Yeah, it is.
No.
Like if you gotta go.
TV has taught us that
it's-
quicksand is fun no matter how you handle it.
And you know what?
Yeah.
It's folkloric.
It
I mean,
is.
that's right up his
Yeah,
alley.
he would like that bit.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Proving that something that was supposed to be just a legend is real.
right. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Except spoilers, he doesn't die, so don't worry about it.
He's probably going to be fine. I mean, the movie's named after him. He's going to be all right.
Yeah.
Tierney, thank you so much for being
That's me.
here. Yeah, that is you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for joining us for
having me
minute
back.
70.
Yeah.
You are.
I can't believe this is minute 70, by the way. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you guys have been here over an hour, and they're just sinking in the not quicksand about to tell Indiana Jones something important.
I guess we should
I'm
comment
sorry.
on that. That there's been like we just hit some action and they stopped within the minute to like stop and not move. Like we've been in that tent for 1,000 years. Then we get out, we talk to some people, then we start running like we're in an action movie. Oh wait, now we're stuck. We're physically stuck.
Literally cannot move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's impressive. But you do move. Look at watch this segue. You do move a lot, Tierney. You're very busy. You do a lot of stuff. Tell us.
That was beautiful.
That was
Thomas.
really good.
That was.
I'm impressed. What are you up to? Where can people find you? Because the answer is long. I know because you're doing a lot of stuff.
No, I'll keep it good. In honor of that segue, I will say that this summer I'm doing American Graffiti one song at a time
Yeah.
with other former guests of the show, Rachel Mummer and Doris Weiss. And we're just basking in George Lucas nerdery over there. So if you do, as of this recording, have to search American Graffiti one song at a time in Apple Podcasts because we're not that famous yet to come up on there. But download, subscribe, and maybe you'll someday be able to just put in American Graffiti and find our podcast. So that's our summer project. And, we've got Facebook group to talk to people and share stuff, which is all good. If you're looking for me, go to onesteelsister.com, ONESTEELESISTER. And that has links to my guest appearances, including this, other shows that I've done that I think almost all of them have made you guys be on. And
That's true.
We were just on Close Encounters.
Yep. We're wrapping up This Means Something ... which is a Movies by Minutes of Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
It's a great name.
So yeah, lots of Spielberg goodness over there. And also, well, depending on when this airs, it is in the process of definitely at some point this summer, because it goes along with the American Graffiti podcast. I wrote a book.
Oh, fantastic.
Sweet.
It's called The Post Road.
Wow.
About teenagers that drive up and down the post road going to diners and getting into shenanigans.
I've lived
There you
that.
go.
Yeah, you'll feel right at home in this.
That's awesome.
And it's also set in August 2000, so it's a little bit of time travel there. So that is literally my editor is finishing it, and the photo for the cover has not been finalized because I was waiting for the trees to come in. But it's in process. At some point this summer, if you go to my website, there'll be a link to buy my book. I just
Awesome.
don't know exactly what day that
Nice.
will be.
Nice.
It was supposed to be Memorial Day, and guess what? It's not anymore.
Well, that's awesome. That's amazing.
that's fantastic.
So everybody, please go check out Tierney's biz at onesteelsister.com, and check us out at indianajonesminute.com and our Facebook group, Indiana Jones Minute and the Listener's Crusade, and all our other fun things. Go buy a t-shirt. I just bought myself one of our t-shirts at our TeePublic store, Indiana Jones Minute, over there on TeePublic. And then you'll look cool all summer long. And there's nothing more important than looking cool. And while you're looking cool, join us back here on Monday for minute 71 of Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull here on the Indiana Jones Minute.
Ah, for crying out loud.
Ah, cheese and crackers. Ah, horse feathers.
Stop it.
That's just collapsing my void. I actually do know what that means. I know what a void collapse is.
I don't want to hear
maybe
about
I'll cut this out. It is when you fart so hard and suddenly that you feel the insides of your gut slap together. That's a void collapse. Thank you, everyone.
no. Pete gets really quiet.